because they did them different from what they come out on the computer.
The policies?
Yeah, they're always in a different order when we get here than what you have them on the email.
Oh, yeah, here they just.
Yeah, so now I got to rearrange everything here.
Match it up to how it defaults there. Okay, first one we have is policy 220. And there's just some changes, that,
Due to law.
It's due to law changes.
Yeah, there's a
okay.
lot of changes.
So it's very small. I
Yep.
recommend we approve this.
Yes, I'm okay.
Let's see, and 270 is, we have 60 days now instead of 45 to fill a vacancy on the board. Should it occur, I recommend we approve that. The more time we have to find somebody. Right. Let's see, the board member conflict of interest is also due to law, so.
Yeah, this one's due to the GATA, which is what has to do with the federal grants that are coming through, so that's just what that was.
Yeah. And then I think this is really going to be a problem anyway, so. Let's see, policy 2105. Apparently fundraising is now one word instead of two.
This is also due to law change. You'll see the internal revenue code there. Obviously, this is not a heavy hitting one, but the big change is on the back page. There's a thing about the complaints of sexual harassment made, and you'll see a lot as kind of a thread through most of these policies is that sexual harassment kind of law has changed, and so a lot of these policies are just getting updated to that. So.
Okay, I recommend we accept the changes on this one. Okay, then on policy 2:110, again, this is sexual harassment is number 12. The senior board member, I think we should keep that in there. That's our wording, and we have had to refer to this, and it was nice to have it in writing, like what the procedure was. Yeah. Like I said, this has occurred, that this was useful. 2:200. Is this also due to law?
This is due to law, and they basically just added volunteer and contractors to the already outline of people for closed session. You can now talk about volunteers or contractors, whereas you can before. So.
Okay. I recommend we approve that. Let's see.
This one, the 2:220 is housekeeping.
Okay. So just approve that. There's some discussion, and then apparently, again, writing out and then the number of is super important. Okay. 2:260. Let's see. Includes board members. And if there's a complaint or a grievance. And that just, I'm assuming that's a law change, and it just includes board members
Yeah,
also.
so that's sexual harassment stuff that's happening. This is talking about the harassment, they're just holding the
Let's see. And then 415 was
The 415 one, this is that GATA, is the Grant Transparency Act, and so this is just more of that law that's changed to that.
is this kind of stuff we're doing anyway,
Yes, yes.
regardless of that. Let's see, 4:30.
So this one's basically saying that we're gonna look over, it's the third page in, about when we're investing, that we're gonna do our due diligence to make sure that we're on to some of these things. So it's obvious, it's things that we do.
Yeah. Let's see. 4:60. our language contract for work over 10,000. I
Yes.
think we should keep that.
That was
Okay,
due to computer issues.
Okay. I still think,
You know too much.
I've been around a long time, Kelly.
I think that this is just a good thing to keep in there.
Mhm.
It keeps,
I think that was a reader Broadmax issue.
Oh, interesting.
okay. I like it, so I think we should keep
Yeah,
it.
and actually, we're gonna also suggested that in the
Keep that.
conversation to keep that.
Mhm. Let's see. And then the second part, is that a change in the law, so then there's some.
Yeah, it's just a change in the law.
4:80, I know we talked a little bit about this.
So this one we're gonna kind of have to decide, there's, on the second page is our capitalization, our capital assets, that we currently have in place. The big change in this one is that it's $2,500 to be a capital asset, and it gives more definition. On the front page is what Russ is asking that we go to, and it's just a sentence that says essentially $5,000. And with what useful work really. So they've taken, so we kind of have to decide what we want to do. If we want to go to the 5,000, which is what's being recommended by Prosser, if we want to stay with the 2,500. What that.
What do you like as business manager?
You know, I like our, I like the outline of ours. It's just more information, kind of, it details it out a little bit more. So I don't see any reason why we. It doesn't
change what we already have.
We need to change up to 5,000.
So you're not running into anything that's on that 2,500 mark line that you would prefer not to have to capitalize?
Not really, because a lot of the stuff I can say, if it's something that's iffy, you can say, well, this is not really it doesn't fit the other criteria to make it capitalized equipment. So a lot of times it's our computers and stuff that.
That's what I was thinking.
But a
some
lot
of
of
those.
those are under 1,000 because it's each piece, not total. So it's not as big of a deal anymore. So
Okay.
I would shy towards seeing what we have, but.
Should I eliminate this use screen? Should I eliminate this or not accept this one?
Right, that one.
And then we'll keep this.
Yeah. And I'll double check with our auditor to make sure that they don't have a suggestion that I don't know about. If something changes, I'll let you know, but from my standpoint.
And then keep what we have
Yeah.
back here on page
Yeah.
2.
And the piece about inventories, that is just good practice, so that I don't see any problem with that. Five colon 10 is a law change.
We'll have to
Yeah,
begin with the law
yeah.
change.
It's the same.
It just added, it looked like it just added some more.
Yeah, some more areas that could be considered harassment. So it's just a lot of change on that one.
I would hope these are good things for everybody.
Yes.
Feelings.
Yes.
It's really that big a deal.
Yes, it's just common good practice, absolutely.
As we learn, it's good to have things in mind.
Right, absolutely. So 5:30. This one is talking about, there's some changes in our hiring process where we can't ask for wages and salaries, and it's just not, and we've already moved to that. Our software, our hiring system software has moved away from us for pulling it up, right?
In the fall, September 27th,
Yeah.
Frontline removed that question from our online application. I think the law took effect October 1st, so a little headache.
Yeah, and I knew that law was in place because it affects me at work.
Yeah, so that, the policy is now kind of catching up to our practice that we're already doing. And the physical examination stuff, it's changed a little bit about, so just the wording of the registered nurse or licensed physician. You're okay with that?
Okay, Barb, this is, the next one, 550, is dealing with the e-cigarettes and the cannabis and all that.
Huh?
And this one looks like it's more about just, it's not allowed as a
Correct.
laboratory, so I don't think it necessarily is like a students per se.
Okay, this is the one for employees?
Yes,
Oh, this is the workplace, okay.
that's what it looks like, yeah.
Let's do one is 727.
Yeah, so this is just the adult scan worker, which I have heard always. 5490, this one is, law changes, more with that neglected, or abuse, that we talked about earlier, just some changes with those laws. And training. The next one, the staff development program, that's, they changed just some of the training that the staff has to go through, so that's just a law change on that one too. The next one, the 51120. This is, again, that law change with the Neglect, Abuse and Neglected Child Reporting Act, also with the GATA grant. And also it just kind of outlines if there is a complaint, who should be interviewing, so if somebody is in close proximity, you know, that kind of thing. So it just outlines best practice for that, conflict of interest stuff there, so I would recommend accept that.
This one is to do, this, I think we need to leave because this is all contract language.
Correct. So the first,
This is the first part.
yeah, each full-time professional staff member is granted, we need to keep the 11 days there. So strike out verification of 10. And then the next sentence that struck out, 12-month professional staff members will receive 12 days of sick leave. Keep that, that's part of our, what we do internally. And then the next one, unused days are allowed to accumulate to, we want to keep it at 340, not the 180. And then the next one was struck as one sick day may be used for bereavement leave for a person who is not a member of the employee's immediate family. Yeah,
Yeah, that was just added somewhat
It was
recently,
in the
within the
last, I
last,
think it was in the last contract.
yeah, the last teacher's contract.
Last teacher contract.
So we'd like to keep that. I'll strike that.
And we need to keep Wisconsin.
Yeah. we need to discuss.
Given our proximity.
The next strikeout was who has a written collaborative agreement with the collaborating physician that authorizes advanced practice register. Dr. Granley said to accept that change. They've changed that whole to like a licensed physician system, so that's just who can get it out.
Right.
So that one
Yeah,
was
I
okay.
could've
I know the
lot.
roles of APNs have been changing.
Yeah.
Because my stepdaughter's an APN, so.
Gotcha. The next chunk is on page 2 of personal leave. Professional staff are granted 4, we want to keep the 4. That's okay with everybody, that's contract. A personal leave day is defined as a day to conduct personal business. They have added but not vacation, travel, or work stoppage. Dr. Greenlee had said to strike that if possible, just because he preferred just to leave it as. It's a personal
On a
day.
case-by-case
It's a
basis
personal
type
day.
thing also.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, unless it
Seems-
butts up to a long weekend, typically we honor that. Because otherwise then you have staff that will say, oh, I'm sick, you know, because they don't have, so to strike that piece of it. Doesn't look like there's anything else on page 2. Page 3 is, they added some language now where parents have a right to take for behavior meetings and stuff for their own children, so that's what you see there. And then leaves for domestic violence and gender violence, so that's what that's there. Any questions with those? We're doing all those changes. The next one, 5:290, resignation and retirement. So this is for us, essentially bus drivers, district staff, people that are not under the umbrella of the 2 contracts. This one was struck, retirement bonus will be given to an employee with a maximum of 20 years of service to the district, of $100 per year of service to a maximum of $3,200 if the employee notifies the superintendent with a letter at least 3 months prior to their last day of service. I recommend that we keep this just because I think it's a good incentive for our employees.
Longevity.
Our longevity. I don't know if we want to talk about the 20 years piece. I don't know if anyone's open to maybe looking at 10, 15 years of being here. You can keep the $3,200 max, but just if people have been here for 10 years, allowing them to get that bonus, but even if they, you know what I mean, it would still max out at $3,200, so we're capturing.
And this is invest too, right?
Mhm. Yeah. You know that, that disqualifying paragraph that's at the front of most of those other ones, like the next one, you know, where it specifically says, the thing about the collective bargaining agreement, that paragraph is just not in here, but we know that that's, the contract supersedes, or
Yes.
do you think we need to get that also back
In here.
in here? If you know which one I'm talking about,
Yeah.
your next 330, you can see it at the top of that one.
Yes. Each of these provisions probably applies to all the education support personnel to the extent that it does not conflict with an aggravated collective bargaining agreement or individual employee contract or benefit plan.
I would be fine with putting that paragraph into
Back
this.
in there.
Back into 290 also. I mean.
It just makes it clear
makes
that
it clean.
if it's on the other ones that say that, and I think most of the ones that deal with the professional, I think in fact, you know, the teachers one says that also.
It's just,
Okay.
it's good to have it in writing.
So you like the idea of dropping it down to 15?
I do. I like the idea of dropping it down, especially with staff who maybe start bus driving as a second career. They may not get 20 years.
Oh yeah, it's not easy to get 20.
Right. I think it's.
From our staff, we've
Well, like Joan and maybe George.
and Janet. We've done
I
like
think,
4. Terry
Sarah
Graham.
is the only bus driver so
Yeah, you've got to start pretty early.
far.
in
You
your
really do.
life here to get that.
So it's open to discussion. It's just something I wanted to throw out there.
Okay, if we did change that,
Yeah.
could we amend our language to match it then somehow? Or would you just implement this because we're 3 years out? Would you back?
Gotcha. That would be a document question I can ask and see. Yeah, let me see what we can do. But I'll throw that on the table and see what.
Okay. Because it's nice. Anytime you guys are willing to give that benefit to somebody, that's awesome.
Is it changing to 10? Does it still have to be
Maybe.
first reading, second?
Right.
I would say maybe 15.
Let's go 15 and
15.
see.
You know, especially
Where that takes us.
especially with our other new longevity bonuses
Yeah.
that we have in place.
Yeah.
You know, at 15 they're getting $400 or $500. So
Okay, let's do that, and then I'll do the.
we got Christmas bonuses this year.
Nice. The non-bargaining did not.
They didn't. No, you guys didn't do that.
This.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. And then the non-roof, there's just a sentence there that I would recommend that we keep that piece of it. There's nothing else in that. Is there anything else for that one? Okay, so the the next one, 5:330. It looks like Dr. really wanted to keep most of what was struck out, because I think that's our language. So the definitions 1 and 2, those are all our language.
Keep the 240 and strike the 180.
Yes. Yeah.
How this is brought down. I mean, it brought my attention to schools resource adoption and.
What about the part about?
Okay, so the sick and bereavement leave, number 1, each employee shall be allowed during each fiscal.
Yeah.
Fiscal year, 1
Year.
equivalent workday off, receive 10 paid sick leave.
And I think her day does need to look full. I mean, yeah, we can't share our shit around and nothing, but. Right. Yeah, it's gonna be ESL co-taught for period 4, and then it's, you're gonna be pushing into that reading class in 6th grade. And then you're gonna be pushing into the 5th grade class here.
I think we need to keep what was there. Is that what everyone agrees? We all agree with that? Okay.
Like, just don't
Strike
accept
the
any of the
stuff.
changes in
Yeah,
those
don't accept the
paragraphs.
changes
Yeah.
and keep what was struck.
Yeah. Is everyone okay with that?
Except, why were they striking the 4 days, this doctor's statement? Why were they pulling
Oh,
that
I haven't
out
written
of
that
it?
down yet, sorry.
That's okay. But it's funny because Mary and I were reading through this and we were like, where does this sentence go? And it actually takes 1, 2, and 3 and makes it like 1 or 2 big sentences
Right.
all together. So it's kind of confusing.
Oh, I see.
Because honestly, I'm okay with not having to have the doctor's note to come back after 4 days. Unless it's like a board approved type leave of absence, even that, some of those aren't medically necessarily, or, that they don't require, if it's not an injury or something like that you feel that they could possibly hurt themselves again being back to work. I don't know. So I'm kind of okay with dropping the having to have doctor's notes.
They might kind of mention we could go with may be required.
There you go.
Instead of
I like
maybe
May.
with the flu epidemic
Yeah.
and all the other things that are coming, somebody might be out for 4 days and I just.
Easily.
Right.
And it could, and again, it could be yourself for 3 days and then somebody else in your family gets sick but
Right.
you're home for
And
them.
then
Then
you
you're,
have to go to a
then you're
doctor.
have to go to the doctor
And
to
it's
do
more
that.
work to say
Yes.
that you have,
Yes.
so.
So I like
he was
May much
thinking
better.
What to say, you have it for day
Partiality.
2, 3, and
Yeah.
then your kid gets it,
Yeah.
or worse, your husband gets it.
Or worse. Whoops, that's instant harassment here. We didn't hear that.
I'll edit the tape.
Yes, I like May.
Understand.
Okay.
Well, instead we'll use May and then.
Mhm.
We're either gonna have, like, from a tier 1 instruction perspective,
Again, keeping Wisconsin,
Yeah.
and then keep the
The strikeout about the list.
strikeout about the, keep the end.
So accept that change to make, we're keeping that straight.
Yeah, look after the number 3 there, the license, where it starts license,
Keep the changes they recommend.
keep the changes,
Okay.
unstrike Wisconsin, keep that in there.
And can we go back first? There's actually 2 sentences about the doctor's statements. Are you going to change them both to May? The first one is 4 or more days, and then the other one is for serious illness or hospitalization. A doctor's release for regular duties must be presented.
And it's not like, look at this one, and this is, when it came up, when I was talking to the 5th grade teachers, and I was like, and then, Jerry was like, well, they have English or language arts with you guys, reading,
You want that it must be?
I think that maybe should say must, just, I mean, if you're a serious illness, you've been hospitalized, getting a doctor's note isn't gonna be a burden.
That's fine. That's,
If you're that seriously, or you're already seeing the doctor a lot, and they'll write out.
mm-hmm.
I think that would protect us as employers.
If you want, well, that's why I was saying they, and was questioning that was just,
Yeah. May, I'm fine with for the 4 days, because like you said, that can turn into a food
Mhm.
bug and a family member gets it.
Right. And the only reason I question it is because whether something is serious is open to debate. So if you have somebody who says, oh, I was in the hospital, but it wasn't serious. Not that I think it's gonna happen, but it's just vague. So, but I'm good with it, must is fine.
Okay, the next section is the vacation. I know, I looked at,
Oh.
and this is the 12-month employee vacation, so, 12 employees should get vacation. And one of the things, I know Dr. Bentley had said is sometimes we use this to get people, sometimes we can't give salary, but vacations can be, you know, a nice perk for people to come work for the district. But he does, you know, sometimes he reserves the right to make some of those decisions too. So, right now it's 2 years to 5, or 10 days per year. And 6 to 15 is 15 days, and then 16 till the end is 20 days. I don't really have any information on it, so, but for me, as a hiring people, it's hard to swallow not giving somebody vacation the first year they walk in the door. I don't know, I know that's sometimes hard, like teachers brand new first year, they get first year license, you know what I mean, that you give benefit time to most, so I would like to see it.
I don't see why we couldn't change this to this beginning of year one, accumulating 23 days a month.
Yeah, just starting as soon as you're hired, you get 10 days, you know, that, you know, benefits, so.
For that first year.
I don't know. That's 2 weeks paid vacation on top of sick days.
For a 12-month employee. Custodians?
That's the only ones that are
That's
affected by, yeah.
I mean, it,
Ours do not. Ours are 10 days after 1 year is what our contract is.
Oh, so the first year.
it's hard.
It is.
When you're coming, especially when you're transferred from another school, you find out you have to wait a whole year to get 10 days off. And I think, so this would only affect your custodians, correct?
This,
That particular vacation?
you know, your other one would be your other support personnel. So, it's affected by policy. Your tech,
I mean, the vacation.
oh, as far as our, and that's, yes, ours is our own
Custodians
custodians
only.
only.
So if we are anticipating maybe some turnover, retirements, the next couple of years, just the years of service that would be attractive to people to offer them vacation up front.
I mean, I do know a couple of times that my husband has changed jobs. The one time he didn't get vacation and it was terrible.
Yeah.
And he just started this new job back in July and he started getting vacation time like right away. You know, he started the job in July and when he took the time off for Sarah's wedding, it was paid
Yeah.
in September. And that was, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that where I work, it's, you don't get any vacation the first year. It starts year 2. You know, you accumulate it, but you can't use it until year 2. And I know that's been a hardship for some of the new hires we have.
And it is, again, especially, this is not harassment, but as you get older, and my husband went through the same thing when he, you know, moved 4 years ago to a new job. He went from 4 weeks vacation just down to 2, and what a world of difference that made. You know, when you're used to having 4.
Right. And then you don't get any for the first year also on
Right.
top of it. It
Right.
does,
Can we put a statement in here that this is more of like a suggestion, but the superintendent reserves the right to, even for not really super custodians, that could be because it's in your contract. So if it's hiring district office staff, 12 months like here, sometimes that's the perk for people to come here. And so maybe where he can reserve the right to make that decision when to hire somebody. I don't know if that's a possibility.
Well, I mean, I'm okay with putting it in. I think it is nice.
And the one thing with vacation, I think we need to keep this, that vacation days earned in one fiscal year must be used by the end of the fiscal year, and they do not accumulate. So that's the one thing is that we do not pay out. Like, you can't keep rolling vacation days and then retire cash mowing. That's not what the district does. So it's used that year.
Do you for, you know, we have, ours has we have a little bit of leeway in ours to go into the summer through July, to the end of July.
Days or something.
Yeah, because they try to do their vacation days through the summer,
Yeah.
and I know that,
And we do work with them, and we send out letters that say, here's what you have, this is what you have pending, let your supervisor know when you're planning your days. You know, so we do, especially with custodians and people who have to be able to kids are there, we can understand that too.
yeah, ours does go to the 31st. We actually we have it in the contract. I had a question about this. So if you went to something like this, then again, we would maybe look back at our language and maybe adjusted it if not sooner than at the next contract to mirror it. Memorandum.
How much off is yours? They have to wait 1 year, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
But this one actually goes higher too. This goes to 20 days per year. Ours only goes to 15. But I feel like if you're going to offer it, it should be offered across the board, not at discretion. I don't know that you want. It's fair to get into picking who gets certain. We've never.
They get vacation. Oh, they just get 30 days, personal days, but they get them year one.
Yes.
Who's that?
All benefit
Teachers.
time is given year one with the exception of.
And
Right.
paras, so if you're a para that starts in August, you get 4 personal time sick. And if you miss all of August and use all of your time and terminate in September, you don't. Yeah, so we used to prorate it back, use all your time and then terminate it before your year was up. COVID.
Hopefully nobody would do that, but I guess in theory they could.
They do.
Not often, but
They
they
do.
do.
Once in a
Once in a
while.
while we'll get.
They do, but I think we ran into an issue with that school code doesn't say anything about prorating. School code says you get 10 sick days per year.
Yeah, so we've always front loaded.
Not always, but in the last few years. Yeah.
How much time I've been here, we
Right.
front loaded, we get them, we should
Yeah.
get for the year.
Yeah.
There,
So
so.
if this is changed to beginning right away, year one, what does that do for 2 brand new full-time custodians that we just hired? Like if this goes for first reading and then approval in March, first reading in March, second reading April, what does that do to the, say the person that started 2 months ago? Somebody can come in the door in April, get 2 weeks of vacation, person hired in the last couple of months, do they get?
Then I guess you would have to
grandfathered
go
in?
by that monthly accumulation, so if they only worked from April, May, June, July, you'd get essentially 4 days of vacation as opposed to 2 days.
But would the people
Oh, I
that
see.
got hired before this, would they, how would that work?
Well, they're under our contract anyway.
So the contract says.
Contract says nothing in the first year.
So if this
If
passes
we-
in April, then the people that were hired a couple months ago, they could maybe get a prorated April through June, They have 4-day,
No, essentially, even between now and when we renegotiate, anybody hired under our contract would get nothing.
Unless
Until
we
the-
did an MOU.
Right. Unless we did an MOU.
so conceivably a new hire in April would get the benefit that a hire
Well, not if
January
they're,
didn't get.
but not
Right.
if they're under ours. Somebody in the somebody that's not under the NMS contract.
But if these are custodians.
But they're on
If
ours.
we change it
Right.
here,
It's, to be fair, it needs to have a.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we only change it here and that would be another impact for custodians, the only impact people here.
here,
But if we
like
put
the
an
secretary or,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So do you like going up to 20 days though too?
Yeah.
See? 4 full weeks. Along with 10 sick and,
Well, because we don't get.
oh wait, I know. You know what I'm thinking of with ours is all those vacation days too.
Yeah.
'Cause they
Because we
get,
don't get Christmas break.
Right, you
or
don't. Right.
Spring break, or so the 20 days or 15 or whatever that.
this kind of includes holidays and such.
if there's any non-gardening that ever hit 16 years, yes. Anyone.
Because NVES would stop at 3 weeks, but this goes up to, we would be at anybody that's not bargaining, that's 10 years. Like,
Probably not. Maybe some of your drivers. Are you counting drivers in this? They don't get.
12 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so, so no, none of your tech team has been here that long?
So this is really a
Anybody
very
here?
small percentage of places.
This is basically just the admin team.
Not even our MSP, because they're 11. So it's
Okay.
essentially like
Mm-hmm.
people in this building,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and then the custodians when they're under your contract.
So this really, that's a very small number.
Right, so if I'm trying to hire a bookkeeper and we, you know, then obviously to tell somebody that you can't have vacation or should, you know, that's when I get
Or you
stuck.
can take some days but we get paid.
Right, right. And so I think it'd be a nice incentive to maybe start that at 1 year.
And then you don't, unused vacation days, you don't pay those out at the end of a year either, do you? It's use them or lose them, right?
Yes. Yeah, so if I don't.
Yeah,
use all my
it's right in here.
vacation
Vacation days are in one fiscal year must be used. By the end of the following fiscal year, they do not accumulate.
Right, but they also aren't paid out.
Looks like employees resigning or losing employment is terminated or entitled to monetary equivalent of all earned vacation.
Yeah, why did they strike out unused? And I believe that that's actually the law, isn't it?
Well, and if somebody, if it was a 12 employee, we hired them, they lasted 2 months and then figured this was not a fit, resigned, essentially they'd get the 0.83 days times 2, and there really wouldn't be payout. So I think from a law standpoint to the district, offering it that first year, you're not going to lose a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they haven't accumulated, there's not a lot of risk there, I should say, for that piece, right?
And if it's use it or lose it, they may be, you know, if they resign or something happened that they left the job, they may not have had the opportunity to use that for.
Oh, yeah, well, and essentially the other thing that happens is like with our custodians, they don't necessarily resign at the end of, specifically at the end of the year. It could be mid-year or whatever, so sometimes they don't always use it before that.
And they would only get what they,
Mhm.
over many months they worked.
Yeah, whatever was owed to them still for unearned, or earned but not used. That's why I'm not sure why they marked that unused out.
You know, they keep unused?
Yeah, keep unused. So then in paragraph 1.
can't, I think that they struck it just because it follows up about where they were discussing 12 months, but I think it can't hurt to leave it in.
So I would say part-time employees.
Part-time, 12-month employees,
Mhm.
the work at least will keep that. Entitled to vacation days on the same basis. And days, days every year, or 2 hours a week, 3 hours vacation.
So they only work 4 hours when they take vacation, they never take 4 hours.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
so hours, yeah, so that makes sense, okay. So do I have a question about first one here?
And then we're done with during the first, so I strike the, during the first probationary year, the vacation is.
Right, because I think they're saying that it will refer back to the chart above.
So, the whole paragraph that starts during, striking that.
Yes.
Just that sentence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. You are going to recommend to go back to the year one, right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so then just that sentence about the probationary years should be struck, right?
It should stay struck.
Yeah. But the average number,
The average number of part-time
That's-
hours being what
you
you
like
get.
that?
Yeah, yeah. Because that's fair to everybody, but. And that's
So
actually how we
keep
do it
the
at my work.
after the employee's fifth anniversary, so they get their.
And then number 2 is just kind of redundant. It's on vacation prorated, it's already in the first paragraph that it's based on the hours they work, so we can leave number 2 struck. Do we wanna leave number 3 in? That's the use it or lose it.
I have. I forget how else you're gonna put somewhere in.
mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So leave number 3 struck and
Yeah.
keep where it starts vacation days earned.
I'm doing
Mhm.
that.
Get rid of that. Keep
Yeah.
unused.
Yeah. And the accrued prior to their leaving the district's employee is just redundant, right?
Mm-hmm. What about the insurance?
We don't accept those changes, but those are. Still do that.
Right, I would agree. And then the leave of absence, number 1, 2, that seems like that's just the whole pop procedures that we follow, so I would say we can keep those 2.
The leave of absence for more than 12 weeks must be approved by the board. I guess I did not realize that that's where that was at. I never paid that much attention or did that closely, but it seems like we're having to go to the board for more and more leave of absences, like even less than 12 weeks. I'm seeing it.
Typically, if people have applied for the FMLA, those go. Otherwise,
If they have enough sick days to cover it and they're okay.
yeah, usually what triggers it to go to the consent agenda is because we have to hire a long-term sub. And so that's why it usually ends up on the consent agenda. So it's more of just a practice that we've done that. I would say we keep all of our, the holidays that were there before, because that's contract for, on us to, everyone okay with that?
Mhm.
I'm not sure what they're doing here.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, but I would say.
Get rid of all the changes and just keep it the way it used to
Keep
be.
that way.
It was messy.
It's really messy.
I think we don't have Casner Pulaski anymore though,
No.
unless they were grandfathered in. That's the one.
Oh, we also don't do Good Friday either, do
Yes,
Depends.
good
we? Or
for
I guess it does, it depends.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we
It's
should.
a paid, but it's a paid holiday per our contract.
Yeah. In the event the board takes or receives a waiver of certain times in the event of holidays, an employee shall work on that day for straight time and shall receive a floating holiday. In the event the holiday falls on a weekend, the employee shall receive a floating holiday. Floating holidays are subject to the same conditions as traditional days. I would say we keep that as the current practice that we use. Especially our custodians who are working on some of these holidays, which is everyone okay with that?
Yes, occasionally I think that they've been told, like, in lieu of one day they would work, or they were told what day they would have off. Not necessarily floating. For example, if Christmas was on let's say, I don't want to do this wrong because Sunday, they get Saturday, Sunday. But they were told then that specifically they had Monday and Tuesday off. They didn't get it as a floating, that's weekends. Is that something that,
And they might have been told
Yes.
last year their calendar day had to be Easter Monday.
yes, things like that. It's been kind of not floating where they can pick what day it is anymore.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to reword that or, make it,
Well, in the waiver, say Dr. Green is that I think we should work Martin Luther King's Day, so if we apply for a state waiver, they say, yep, you can work a day, and the teachers get that. They work, they get a floating holiday, is that what this is saying? If we apply for a waiver?
Well, then we wouldn't put it in the teacher's contract, so it doesn't really impact teachers, it's more custodians and
Got it,
and
okay.
us, where,
Mhm.
so if we, let's say we have to work on casual class day, which we do, the custodians are supposed to be able to pick what day they can take off, and whereas we would be able to pick another day where we can take off since we have to be here because of the position. But I think what I'm suspending is that the custodians are being told,
right.
Your floater will be
you're
Easter
floating
Monday.
this day,
Yeah.
not.
Yes, like I said, if Christmas or falls on the weekend, like this says, on Saturday, Sunday, for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, they're just told you'll have Monday and Tuesday off, or they're told you'll have Friday and Monday off around those. They aren't necessarily given a floating holiday. And I don't think anybody's had a problem with that, but,
And that might be a tracking thing, and that may be something where we need to just add the floating holiday in ASAP, so that if they, when they wanna take off, they can just choose that as, you know what I mean, for those select option people as an option, as, do you know what I mean, as opposed to,
do you like to have it float, or do you like that they're assigned? I think
I
for,
can't speak to that because it's not I'm not supervising that group of people, so it's hard for me to say.
I think it's easier to manage if they're kind of assigned.
I know at my work, when we have that, it gets assigned and everybody takes the same day.
Whereas I know here, I can speak to the staff I supervise here and how we like to stagger it so that somebody is typically here in the district office. So if opens up, we call it the front, Kaylee and Kathy and Kelly, they alternate their floating holidays so that somebody's always here. So it wouldn't be as,
Versus all of them taking a day and then there's
Right.
nobody.
So I think this year July 4th was on a Saturday, so they may, when they start looking at our calendar, do you want to do the 3rd off or the 6th, half and half? You know, like, so you'd be open that day, maybe, the 3rd and the 6th.
and we could say
We
that.
have that half day, or they could say, we're gonna post the 3rd and then post it.
But you could still make it where it was
could,
assigned by the
yes.
superintendent or designee, and then,
Right, and then I can work with them and say you're working this day.
Correct.
Correct, and that's fine, that's just a change of wording, that way it's
Yeah.
easier to. That's-
yeah, I want to see if you can come up with something that works for
Yeah.
that.
Because they have floating holidays.
a paid holiday. I wouldn't call it floating. A paid holiday as determined or assigned by the supervisor.
Or receive a paid holiday, I mean, not the holiday calls and benefits shall receive a paid holiday. Paid holidays are subject to the same conditions as personal leave and will be assigned by the direct supervisor. Is that okay? Assigned and approved, because that's how typical leaves would fall.
Mm-hmm.
Or determined.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Determined. Yes, to sit through all this just to get to the medical.
Sorry, it's okay.
Started out fast.
Under personal leave, number 6, any personal leave days not used by June 30th each school year will be completed as sick leave days. I think we should keep that, that's just like our practice. Is there anything else on here?
There's the one with the forms on the page.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we want to keep the
Don't
4.
mess with the 4.
Yeah.
Is there the bereavement day that we put in the professional? Do you want to put that in the support staff also? Is it not in here? That you can use one
Oh, that's
sick day for person. Oh, that's yeah.
That's
Is
sick.
that
Yes,
is?
that would be in the first.
Okay. Got it. All right.
For the first sentence, and I'm going to write this.
It is.
I'll leave it alone. So the 12-month employee shall be eligible for paid vacation days according to the cost schedule and under the discretion of the superintendent. Can we add that so that Dr. Rainier, one of the superintendents has?
Sure.
You want this
That just again, that just affects you guys unless we change it in our contract and we just
Right.
negate that part within the
Right.
contract. Right?
And I do have a note here that says check
Yeah.
on vacation and that, so.
Okay.
Then that gives them some options to go in. Okay. I promise we're not.
We're getting there, Barb.
It's okay.
The next one, 6:60. Okay, so this one is that we have to add now, there's information about bullying, intimidation, harassment. Also, there's some stuff that has to be added to social studies regarding contributions of gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, so the LGBT into our history classes. And so Dr. really wanted us to make sure that we understood that this is not a class, but it's more embedded into history and civics and all of the things that we're already doing. It's just we're embedded. So it's not a lesson, it's just naturally taught. So it's law, we have to do it, but you just want to make sure that we're sure that it wasn't a specific class.
Do you guys follow through and make sure this is all happening?
The ROE does, that was part of the audit.
Yeah.
Provide lesson plans, units of study, and
The age-appropriate internet safety is taught.
yep, we have to show that we have a policy that's.
Is that annually?
It's every 3 years, or unless
Okay.
you get a new superintendent. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're hoping
We're
I
holding on
can
to
take
Mike
3
for
more
some
years.
reason.
No, I didn't mean the audit. I meant the
Oh.
stuff being taught.
Oh, no, they do, they check that, and we have to provide evidence that we're
Because
pushing it.
there's a lot in here.
There's.
When I read, I was reading through this one. Didn't notice it. Career and vocational education must be taught. All the consumer, I know Cheryl covers most of that consumer ed stuff.
Right,
Almost all, and
Yeah.
Topics in consider right now, I'm super excited about it.
it's one of the best classes we offer, I gotta tell you.
I'm going to talk about insurance. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, insurance is a lot of fun. I'm gonna get used to it.
6:150, home and hospital instruction, this is the law. This is just changing that position statement to that, the new wording. So I guess that's good to accept. 6,300. This is with FAFSA. There's stuff about having to fill out the FAFSA. Dr. Greenlee didn't have any recommendations on that piece. The bottom part though, that's all crossed off about the community service requirement, he asked that we keep that because that is Northwood's policy. And actually, all of page 2, 3.
That's all of our, yep, I have a note just to keep all on this, 'cause this outlines all of our,
Yes.
and then the dual credit, and then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is
Everything else.
Yes.
just keep it all.
Any questions on that? It's just, it's all
We spent enough time on this previously.
Okay, so, 7:20. Okay, so what they did here was, under making a complaint enforcement, they struck out complaints must become confidential. But if you look on page 2, what they've done is they've outlined in more detail, the investigation process and what happens if there's alleged incident of sexual abuse. So that complaint sentence, I think we're good to strike that, just because they explain it in more detail on the following page. I think that was. So any questions on that? Seven colon 150. This is just what we do when we have to interview students, so I would say we keep this as part of that law with the child abuse. 7:180. This is again the legal stuff that's kind of come with that, so I would recommend we keep something as well. Law changes. Pretty minimal. 7:270. That's all you are. Okay, so this is the administering medicines to students, and obviously, cannabis and all of that has kind of come to the fore. So what suggestions or guidance do you have for us on this?
Well, I am in the process right now of getting the asthma, undesignated asthma medication in our schools.
Okay.
So I've reached out to a physician, Dr. Maria Castillo Clavejo from Crusader,
Okay.
who also authorizes and gives our prescription for the EpiPen, undesignated EpiPen. She has not gotten back to me on that yet, but I have reached out to see if she would be the one that would provide us with that prescription, because we still have to have a prescription in order to get the medication.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of that right now. Otherwise, I really don't see anything.
Are you recommending that we just accept the changes made by press? So there's not much we can probably do about it.
Because they may possess EpiPen or the asthma medication prescribed to them. And we do have an SMA form, so I mean that's. And I see where they just added the asthma medication kind of to, you know, what we already had. So at the bottom of that first page, are they saying that they crossed out the epi? So they're
That's what I
saying,
was just looking at. They
that's
crossed
the
out
only thing I was questioning was, does this mean they're crossing out the epinephrine and putting in the asthma? I mean, we still have our undesignated EpiPens and wish to keep them.
It looks like on page 2, they're addressing the EpiPen.
Or
They're just separating them out.
Separating it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they just copied and pasted the
That's what it does look like now when you say that, yeah.
EpiPen and adjusted it, yep.
And I also am in the process of looking for programs that provide it free, so we don't have to buy, the asthma medication. I have the EpiPens for school, which provides free the EpiPens, as long as we have the prescription, which I do get from Dr. Castillo Claveo. So I'm in the process of trying, once I get the prescription, then I can go through and see if they will allow us then to get the free asthma medication also. Because, we do have, it doesn't sound like a horrible number, but for the child that is having an emergency situation arise, we have called 911, let's see, I know Capron, Melissa said that they had, two of them required 911 calls that we had just had. This was just on February 14th. So that wasn't that long ago. And they were two separate students. They were not the same student. They were two separate students. And I know Manchester had one or two also. And I know Papa Grove has also.
Is there any concern that the whatever asthma medication we get is the right one for that child? Because there are different.
Well, because it's albuterol, which is kind of like a
Okay.
blanket, and for an emergency situation, that is the one that's used most often to basically open those airways. Then obviously they're transported then. It's kind of the same agreement or law as the EpiPens, where if you use an EpiPen, they have to be transferred
Okay.
by ambulance so that they can get care along the way in case the situation arises again and they would not have, the medication with them if they went by car. Whereas in an ambulance, they can provide both of those medications per their standing protocol. I do have one question about the undesignated glucagon.
Yep.
We do not, at this point, have glucagon, but we do have like sugar tabs. And if it gets beyond that point, we call the ambulance. So I don't know if we want to.
What's the difference between the glucagon and the sugar tablets? Is that something that?
You could catch them quick, if you catch them earlier, the sugar tabs or sugar in the mouth
Right.
is quickly absorbed. The glucagon would be if they're no longer able to swallow. So that would
Do we
be,
need to get this, or do we need to say we're not going? I don't think we can say we're not going to do it, 'cause it's a
our
study.
diabetic protocol is that the students that have diabetes have glucagon readily available. So we have them at the school, but they're not undesignated. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the students that have diabetes and have the insulin at school are the ones that also provide their own glucagon. I guess at this point, I don't feel that we would need to keep an undesignated amount of glucagon.
So we should strike this.
Well, I don't know if we can strike this because it's in my school code.
Oh, yeah, the students prescribed is not, or is expired school nurse.
So I almost feel like what's the impact to the district? Well, I don't even know if we can. If
Is
there's
that a
So this
prescription,
is
or
say,
that
this isn't
something
an
we can
option
just-
then, is that
Well,
what
it
you're
looks like-
saying?
That's what it looks like. It looks like it's an Illinois school code that says that we must maintain this in our schools. And so I don't think it's an option. I think that's something we have to do.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
everyone else? I don't know.
Mhm.
It looks like it's the same for.
Yeah, there's a Kmart student.
Yeah,
maybe
there's a
listed.
legal.
Is that a prescription, or is that something you can just get?
That would be a
This-
prescription again.
But on page 4, policy is void whenever the superintendent or designee is unable to obtain a prescription. So I guess you'd still have to try though, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just do our due diligence, and if for whatever reason we can't or unable, then we can have that, but I think we should probably at least.
Okay.
Along with the inhalers and, EpiPens. Is there any other questions about? Right, it's a lot. The medical cannabis, that we wanted to talk about. There's probably not much we can change or.
Again, on page 4, the administration of medical cannabis section of the policy is void, and the district reserves the right not to implement if the district or school is in danger of losing their funding.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. Could we potentially lose federal funds by having this policy in place?
That I've not run across. Before we go, I can definitely look into it and see. I've not
I
heard.
think we might have to table this policy
Yeah.
one more go around.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've
This
not
one,
heard.
I think maybe we should table and the glucagon check into at least,
Yeah.
you know, attempt to get that.
And I'll look into this photo funding with this.
And look into the federal funding with the cannabis.
Yep, I can do that.
Changes. This one.
And then the 8:30 is basically the cannabis laws as related to visitors on school property. And it just kind of rolls into that drug and alcohol cannabis legal drug promotion.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Number 9. Let's go back. Cannot be present when the person's alcoholic beverage, cannabis, or other lawful product or illegal consumption is detectable regardless of when or where the use occurred. What does that mean? Be present when who? I had a hard time reading this one.
It says no person on school property or at a school event, including visitors, students, and employees, shall perform any of the following acts. So you can't be present if you have been drinking under the influence of cannabis,
Okay.
Just being there.
whether you're.
So they're saying like you can't, if you can't have a drink or and then come there. It doesn't, they're saying it doesn't matter if it happened in advance.
Right,
Okay.
right.
When
So
the
even
consumption is
a parent or a
detectable.
visitor can't, slosh down a couple margaritas and then come to school.
Just saying the consumption is detectable. So if they can slosh them down and there's no effect,
Right.
It can, yes.
Okay.
that's
Right,
what
okay.
that's
That
what
is
that's
it's
saying.
Yeah, it is, okay. But basically, they're covering in advance of attending something, I'm guessing, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
It happens.
Interesting.
Any other question on that one?
We should accept all of this. Yay!
Not 30 at a time next time.
Finally in control of
Right.
it.
A couple, yeah, okay, a couple things. Dr.
It's
Ridley,
not.
yes, wanted me to update you guys. There was a question about hiring process from the district standpoint, so that we just to run through that quickly with you guys here. Typically, this is usually for admin or, usually admin or, not teaching, but usually admin. So typically, we'll screen 8 to 10 candidates. So we'll have everybody open up, have everybody apply, we'll screen the candidates, we'll pick about 8 to 10. And then we'll pick key administration, key people, I should say, every 10. So we kind of get a group together and we whittle down those 10. We always interview anybody internal for jobs, and that doesn't matter what job it is. We always some internal candidates. We usually would go down to 4, and then we'll share with a cross-section committee. So panel, teachers, parents, administration, etc. So then when we whittle it down to 4, that's when we get usually that cross-section. And then we never ask people to rate staff. So we'll usually say to staff, think of what you like, think of what you don't like. Is there anything that you cannot live with? So is there anything that's like, absolutely not? But we never ask them to rank, because what happens then is the superintendent will do background checks and phone calls for references, and we can't share the results of those, but sometimes that will definitely make one candidate stand out from another. And if the staff has ranked it, sometimes that kind of backfires where you don't get what you pick. So we like to more see like what are the strengths and the weaknesses of the candidates. We'll have 1 or 2 serious candidates at that point. Dr. Brindley will meet with them usually and decide. Sometimes we'll do a round 3 where there's scenarios, not just for Dr. Brindley, or sometimes we'll pull a key admin, just like, we've got this scenario, how would you handle it? Especially if we're trying to decide between 2 candidates, then it goes more into like, here's kind of what the district is facing. Like I said, reference checks, contact staff. Typically when we're doing an admin job like this, the first round, where there's 8 or 10, and the second round, there's about 4 people, we don't contact their employer, just because they're not, it's still, it's so fresh. It's usually when it gets down to that 3rd or 4th round, when there's 1 or 2 people that it's serious, that Dr. will reach out and actually talk to their employer. Mike always makes that final decision, and then he obviously brings it to the board for their approval. And typically he's the one that would say, this is final. He said he likes it, but from all people, knowledgeable, but obviously, it's a fit, right? Someone that fits here, and then they feel it here too, so it's kind of well-rounded. He just wanted me to update you guys on that. I think there was a question about that, something along the way. And the other thing he had asked me to kind of ask Barbara about too was the coronavirus. And I guess they're saying it's not when, but more, or not if, but when at this point. And he was wondering if there was an outbreak, if we have protocol in place, if we have a communication plan in place. What are we hearing from Boone County Health Department on this? Kind of where are we at? He wanted to make sure that we're ahead of the game in case something were to happen. So I don't know if you heard anything.
Yeah, we would be treating it like we do other, severe virus kind of things. We would obviously report if anybody, lets us know that they have been definitely diagnosed. Usually that doctor will let the county health department know, but we would definitely let our county health department know if we have had a positive case here within our district. And then, then we'd be working very closely with the health department with any specifics that they would have for us that they want us to do.
So we're just going to follow typical procedure.
Just like any other.
Yep. Yep.
That's all it is.
I've worked with, I know I work very closely with our secretaries, you know, up at the high school, when they report anything, and they let me know if someone has called in that there's a diagnosis of, you know,
I would say
A,
you're very
B,
good about
strep,
asking when
you
you
know,
call.
whatever it
and
is.
your kid
If
says-
there's something that the parent calls in and says, you know, Johnny's been diagnosed with whatever. And then I have certain protocols that I have to do. If there's strep, I do have a student that we have to call a parent of that student. If the person that was positively diagnosed with strep, if they've been in the same classrooms with this other student. So I have to call a parent, let them know, you know, we have a case of strep at the high school, but that student does not share any classrooms. Not saying that they might meet them in a hall or, you know, or be in the commons together, but the parent requests the knowledge to know if they have any classes together with them. So I do make that phone call each time.